All right, what's up, folks? Today is November 12th, 2024, and I'm going to try to keep this a little bit short and sweet today. It is nighttime. I have been back to programming and kind of looking at charts and that kind of a thing, so I want to spend a little bit less time. I haven't been doing as much with making videos and showing you the programming pieces and that kind of thing, only because I feel like I've shown you so much that it'd be repetitious for me to show you those things all over again. And, maybe that's worthwhile, because practice makes perfect. I don't know, but at any rate, I'm just going to go over something that I learned today. So what I'm going to kind of start doing is, and specifically if I'm programming or if I learn something new, then I'll do a video on that. So I did learn something new today. Let me pull up let's see. I started being a lot better with journaling and that kind of thing. So one of the things that I learned was that a return in the method will return the method, which I knew that, but I put a return within a loop within the method, and it returned out of the method. I thought it would just return out of the first loop instead of out of the method. So instead of using a return there, you want to use a break. So we'll maybe do something to go over that real quick. And then I also have be sure to have the right sequence for your logic. And that kind of goes without saying, right? So if you see some of my programming, you see that I have a lot of stuff going on. I have methods everywhere. I have stuff. I don't really kind of go back and organize it as much. I'm just trying to get out of my head. But if you plop something down in the wrong place, if you don't have it well organized, then it can throw off your logic, especially if you're doing bits and pieces of a project and then you go back and you add something later and you just drop it in. Well, if you don't have everything else already well organized that was there prior, if you just drop something else in, then you might drop it in the wrong place. And that's what happened. And then another thing that I learned is that the initialization method of the chart actually loads after the market provider method. So let me show you the chart. So this is what I was working on today. So here is a market delta. It's kind of like the footprint for the chart. This is something that somebody else had created. I put it up on TradeStation forums. And then, so that is this. And this shows you the time and sales, the bids versus the ask at each individual price level. And then I made something today which takes the bids and the ask, bids on the left, ask on the right, at that same price level, but it looks at the level 1 data. So for every tick, it cumulatively adds the size of the contracts at level 1, right? So yeah, I mean, there's obviously different numbers here, right? So I'm trying to see if there's something significant, right? So as you come down, you're seeing 3,000s, 1,200, almost 5,000, 3,000s, 3,000s, 3,000s. But on this side, you got 2,000, 2,000. So yeah, again, we're all about trying to find an edge in the market, right? That's what everybody's trying to do. If it was very easy to come up with your edge in the market, then everybody would have it done and everybody would be millionaires, right? Not the case. So we're going to keep working. Okay, so let's move right on along. I'm going to pull up a chart and then I'm just going to kind of show you the couple of things that I learned, and then you can do with it as you wish. So I'm going to put up the 1 minute time frame. The chart is moving right now, even though it's after hours, so it's about 9:22. Great day. So the first thing I want to show you is I guess about the market provider. I thought that when you initialize the chart, that the initialization happens before anything else happens, right? So pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to open the toolbox here. Toolbox, market provider, market depth provider. I'm going to drag this over. Go over here. I'm going to rename that MVP. I'm going to put symbol for symbol because we need that. We're going to load it as true, and then that's fine. Okay, so then we're going to go over here for events for the event handler, and if there's a new event, right? So we have a new bid on the chart, new ask on the chart. If there's a new tick with new quote data, then this method right here will come up. It will handle the event, right? So what we can do is we can say print new. Ooh, getting ahead of myself. All right, come over here, and then we're going to, this is to show me. This is YouTube 11 12 24. Okay, then open up our print log. You see I've got a lot of stuff going on over here. All right, so you see it's already printing new event because we have lots of new quote data coming in from the market depth provider over here. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to say, and then I'm just going to do, this is just going to say once, print first line on chart. All right, I verified it, and where is that? Back over here, redo it. There it is. There it is, right there. First line on chart, here, right here. But since then, you have all these new events that have popped up because you have new events happening for the market depth. Okay, so you go over here, and this. So what typically happens in your chart, right? You have your namespaces using EL system, right? You have your inputs, you know, whatever they may be. Okay, you have your variables, whatever they may be. You know, you might have arrays, whatever they might be. And then, you know, you got your methods. You have all your methods, and then you have the main body of your code. So it typically runs in that fashion, with the exception of, even though the main body kind of starts running, and then it calls on any of these methods if it needs to. These methods are situated up top. But beyond that, this main body here, you know, you often have your once blocks at the beginning, and that's useful to make sure that you get anything that needs to happen once at the beginning of the chart. It happens just once, and then it doesn't happen again, and then you go on down here and you do the rest of your code. Okay, and so if you go over here to analysis technique and you double click on initialize, this, if you see down here, initialize occurs when an analysis technique is started or reinitialized, such as when the max bar spec is adjusted. It is normally set in the events tab of the properties editor. Okay, so initialize, you double click in there, it gives you a new method. So typically you would, I would expect that this initialize happens the very first thing. And then after the initialize happens, then you get your once begin blocks, and then if you have a, and then obviously, you know, your market depth or your data providers are loaded. But so after these things happen, or at least after this happens, then if you have a new event, then this will happen next. So I would think that this would happen first. But if we do a print and the analysis technique when the chart's first open, we're going to call this initialization. Okay, and I just verified it. Let me do it again. You see, look at that. Okay, let me do this. Let me do clear the log. Let me stop this first. Okay, then we're going to clear the log, re-verify it, and come over here. Then we're going to turn it back on. Now you see when I turn it back on, the first thing that came up. Now this is other scripts here, but the first thing that came up was new event. Where does new event happen? New event happens with the market depth provider. So the market depth provider is actually loaded and happens prior to the initialization method, right? Initialization happens second, right? Isn't that crazy? And then you have another market depth event, and then you have the once block, first line on the chart. So again, I was working on a script, and I needed for this initialization, I needed for whatever happens here to happen first before market depth stuff started happening. So I think what I end up doing is I put something like in here. I said if I came down here to the main body and I said if it's the last bar on the chart, if last X, then we're going to do market depth provider dot load equals true. So I came over here and I went ahead and I turned off market depth provider first. I've got it turned off, and then if it's the last bar on the chart, then we load it, and then it can have new event. So let's try it now. We're going to clear this. Clear this. I've got to do it in the sequence because I've got it run on every tick. So I'll turn this off, clear this, initialize that, and then turn it on. See, there we go. All right, so now we see that we have first the initialization, and then we have first line on chart, and then we have the new event, right? So we have initialization when the chart is initialized. We have the first line on the chart, happens with our once block, and then since we've passed the, we are at least at the last bars on the chart, then we're going to go ahead and load the market depth provider. And now that that's loaded, now any updated events can trigger what happens in this method, and so it prints new event. Okay, all right, so that we took care of that. Let's go one step further, and this time we're going to turn off intrabar persist. Turn that off. Come over here. Okay, and we're gonna start a let's do this. I'm just gonna have a vector. So using elsystem.collections, and then we're gonna have a vector, and we're gonna store a couple values. Vector v. We're gonna store a few lows or a bunch of lows, whatever. All right, and so now that we have one block, we can get rid of this print. We don't need that. But now we come over here and we go vlows equals new vector, and then for every bar on the chart, we're going to vlows dot insert 0. We're going to insert the low. Okay, so we ought to have a bunch of lows on here at some point. So if last bar on the chart, we don't need market depth provider anymore. But if last bar on the chart, then print. We're going to print how many objects we have in the lows in the vector. Okay, so how many objects, how many lows did we have? We had 7,109 lows that we saved to the vector. That is quick. Thank you, Lenovo. You have allowed me to do what I need to do with the program. Computer is quick. All right, so we got 7,000. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to make a we're going to make a loop, and if last bar on chart, then begin x print x print bar number, something like that. Yeah, I'm trying to come up with something that makes sense because I don't have a need for this right now. So I'm trying to come up with something that makes sense that you can wrap your head around. So now we put this method here. So method void x print bar number begin end. Okay, and so we're going to have a variable that's going to be an integer for our index. Then we're going to say for index equals 0 to vlows.count -1 begin end. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to say let's see. I'm trying to think of something that we would use a break with. So let's do this. We're going to print the index. Yeah, this is easy. We're gonna print IDX. Hit verify, come out here, hit end. Now you see it's just printing the index. All right, so actually on initialization also we're going to clear print log. Boom. Okay, so it cleared the print log and then it printed out all these bar. You know, we had 7,112 now lows because the chart keeps moving, so we keep adding lows. So we have 7,112 bars, so we got 7,112 lows in our vector. All right, so what we want to say is if IDX, oh, here we go. All right, so, and then when we get done with all of these prints, then we're going to print after this loop, right? So after this loop, we're going to print loop is done. All right, so I did it again, and here we go. Loop is done, right? Okay, and then we got another bar, right? So it gave you the 7,113. You don't need to print this count here. There we go. All right, so loop is done. Okay, so what we're going to say, we're going to make this easy for you to be able to capture or be able to see the difference between the break and the return. If I'm trying to make it a little bit more complex than it has to be, but if IDX is equal to 5,000, then print $5,000 reached. Or we'll just go 7,109. So that way you can see it within the view of the screen. 7,109 reached. If IDX is equal to 7,109. Okay. All right. You see that? So I just re-verified it, and you see we printed all the indexes, right? So all the way to 7,108, 9, 7,109 reached. Continue to do 10, 11, 12, 13. You continued on, right? So what I'm going to put here is I'm going to put a break, right? But and it also printed the loop is done. It printed that too. It printed the rest of these indexes because it still continued through the loop, and it finished the method. So it did two things. It printed the rest of the loop and it finished the method. Okay, so we'll put method finished. Okay, loop method finished. Okay, so now I'm going to put if index is equal to 7,109, then begin. So we're going to do two things. We're going to begin. We're going to print that statement again, and then we're going to break. So when we break, it actually will get you out of this loop right here. It won't get you out of the whole method, it'll get you out of the loop. And then once it gets you out of the loop, it'll stop at 7109. It won't do this 7110, 11, or 12, but then it will come out of this loop, and then it'll print your method is finished. All right, so verify this. Okay, see it went through all the way 7105, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7109 is reached. Didn't do 7110, 11, or 12, and then it did print the loop is done. So again, if you need to do extra stuff after you come out of the loop, then you just want to use a break in there, right? You can use a begin and end statement to allow that break to happen along with other expressions. Okay, but if you want to return, if we type in here, instead of doing break, if we do return, then it's going to get us out of this whole method. It'll get us out of the loop, obviously, but it'll get us out of the entire method too. So this time when I print it, it'll print all the way through 7,105, 6, 7, 8, 9. It'll print 7109 is reached, and then when it gets to return, it'll get us out of the method and get us back into the main body. So it will not print loop is done. Okay, so let me verify this. All right. Now you see here, it went through 71056789. 7109 is reached. It returned out of the method back to the main body. It did not print this. It did not finish out the rest of the method. So that's some valuable, two valuable things that you can take with you there. All right, again, so a return using method or break, and then just talking about the sequence of your logic and then initialization. Okay, all right, guys, I kept it under. Nah, I didn't. 21 minutes. That's not bad. Some of you guys, if you come in here on a regular basis, you know that I can run 2-3 hours. All right. Yeah, I slowed down a lot. Yeah, we'll talk about other stuff later. This is still programming. All right, guys. I'm Eric. I'm out. Hey.